If you walk around your house thinking, what is time? What if we could see air? And other stuff like that, you better listen up. We love the phrase, talent hits a target that no one can hit. Genius hits a target that no one can even see. So, if you want to know if you might be of exceptional IQ, then here are the 10 signs that you are actually a genius. So, let's dive right in. Number 10, you were breastfed. Now, this is a pretty weird one, but we thought it would be as good a place as any to start. So there is a link between breastfeeding and higher IQ. When scientists conducted a study in which they tested around 3,500 babies, they found out that those who scored higher on the IQ test were actually the ones that were breastfed for longer. Now, you might think that this study doesn't take into account for the genetic predispositions of their parents, but it did. The study was conducted in a place where breastfeeding was not reserved for only the rich, but for people of all walks of life. What they found out is that babies that were breastfed for extended periods of time, smash that like button if you haven't done so already, but no, they actually scored higher on their IQ tests. But why is that? Dr. Horta thinks the reason for this are the long-chain saturated fatty acids which can be found in breast milk, and those are basically the building blocks for brain development. Number 9, you forget trivial things. A good memory doesn't always mean you're less intelligent, but forgetting too much stuff can be a sign of a serious illness, so take your pick. Joking aside, scientists say that people who tend to forget more are people who are preoccupied with other stuff. They're constantly thinking about something else, and their brain can't focus on trivial stuff like where you left your car keys. Gifted and highly intelligent people spend most of their time thinking about the world around them and the stuff that they see on a daily basis. But that's not all. They even found out that the hippocampus, the place responsible for storing information, deletes the unnecessary information from the brain so it can make more room for the ones that are actually relevant, so that you will be on top of your game all the time. Now, where the heck did I leave my phone? Number 8, you are the eldest child. The second child is not as smart as the first one, and it's the parents' fault. Hear us out. Scientists have conducted various studies, and they have concluded that children who were born first have a tendency to be more confident than those born second. Why? Because the eldest child has no one to compare themselves to. Therefore, the confidence goes up. So whenever they undertake any task, they are more confident. Therefore, they have more success. And secondly, it's said that the parent doesn't spend as much time with the second child as they did with the first. Let's think about this for a second. Now, imagine this. The first child is born, and the parents can focus all their attention and energy on them. The second child is born, and now they can only focus half of their time and energy on the second child. They still have to take care of the first one, don't they? Number 7, you have a great sense of humor. That's right. If you're a riot to be around, there's a high likelihood that you're smart. A good sense of humor is a sign that you have a higher IQ than people with low or, God forbid, no sense of humor. Even Einstein himself has said that he has a childlike sense of humor. Now, you should be aware of the fact that people who like dark humor are almost certainly geniuses. That's because it takes a lot of cognitive ability to process dark humor. And another thing, a good sense of humor is related to high emotional intelligence and stability. By the way, that's one of the most desirable characteristics in a partner, male or female. Being able to take a joke and the occasional ribbing shows that you understand you're not perfect and you don't like to boast. So imagine this. You're smart, you're funny, and you're emotionally mature. Some would snatch you right up. Number 6, you love sarcasm. Do you remember Chandler being from Friends? Well, he's pretty much the definition for a sarcastic person. And while most people despise the idea of being sarcastic, others can't get enough of it. Some think that it can only bring trouble when used in a conversation, but they might have a change of heart when they find out that sarcastic people are actually smarter. That's right, sarcasm is considered a boost in intelligence because it stimulates people to think harder and come up with creative ways to respond. Second, they think abstractly to come up with all of those comebacks. And thirdly, they recognize more verbal opportunities, as sarcasm forces them to think outside of the box. Because sarcastic comebacks are so hard to come by, they are a distinctive trait of those with a higher intelligence than their counterparts. Number 5. You play an instrument. You do know Mozart, don't you? Then what are we even talking about here? The man was in a league of his own when it came to music. So is it any wonder that playing a musical instrument can increase your IQ points? One Swiss psychologist even suggested that playing a musical instrument can increase your IQ by 7 points. Therefore, it's best if you teach your child to play one while they're still young. And another thing, when scientists looked at a brain of a musician and a person who didn't play music, they realized they were very different, especially in the parts that control motor skills, memory, storing information, as well as hearing. Because it's difficult to learn to play an instrument, your brain requires more brain power to memorize this task, therefore increasing your IQ. Number 4. You're a night owl. It's true. People who go to bed early are considered to have lower IQ scores than the people who go to bed early. They say that individuals with high IQ points want to challenge the biological boundaries and push themselves. Let's look at this question from an evolutionary perspective. Imagine being a caveman living in the Stone Age. Now, if you were wandering the forest at night, you would quickly become the dinner of some nocturnal creature. So when they saw that they couldn't see at night, they tried to push the boundaries and they developed fire. So that being said, don't think that you'll become smarter by staying late up at night. Sadly, it doesn't work that way. Otherwise, teenagers would have had 10 times Einstein's IQ by now. Number 3. You like to talk to yourself. You just need someone reasonable to talk to every now and then, am I right? But jokes aside, people who actually talk to themselves aren't going crazy, they're just smarter. It's true. When scientists performed a study in their school, they found out that the students that read the lessons out loud performed better on the exams. Why did this happen? Well, what do you think is more frightening? Someone writing you an angry letter about the loud party you've been having, or the loud voice of that butch neighbor that can lift an entire freaking bison? You see, auditory commands are more effective than written commands. Number 2, you're anxious/worry a lot. Research has shown that people who worry a lot tend to have a higher IQ. It's true. When subjects with anxiety were given an IQ test, they scored higher than their counterparts. This means that the people who worry more tend to have a higher activity in the regions of the brain that aid in communication between brain parts. So, as it turns out, anxiety can be linked to a high intelligence level. And this is good to some extent, but it can sure have its fair share of negative consequences. That's for sure. But there's a little catch. This is not true for people that don't suffer from anxiety. In fact, it was proven that the people who don't suffer from anxiety and still worry a lot actually have a lower IQ score than those who don't worry too often. Number 1, everything interests you. People call it curiosity, and it's the one trait that marks a true genius. People who are extremely smart can't seem to focus on one thing. They want to know everything. They want to explore the world around them. They want to know how stuff works and why. Now, this is what actually makes a genius. And listen to what Walter Isaacson, the biographer that wrote the book on Jobs' life, had to say about him. I think there's some people who are probably incurious, who get to drill down really deeply in a specific field and, perhaps in some of the sciences or math, but no, I don't think that, referring to closed-mindedness, is a mark of true genius. You have to be curious. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to change as the evidence changes. And on that note, we end this video. But hey, who's the smartest person you've ever met in your life? You can tell us in the comment section below. If you'd like more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of them. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.